everyone! In this video I'm going to show you how you can play your violin like a guitar, as in strumming chords on your violin. The violin is a typical solo instrument on which you usually play one note at the time and make the melody. But imagine how fun it would be to use your violin as an accompany instrument. About a year ago I bought a ukulele. I often use it in my class when I'm singing with my students, and sometimes I just enjoy strumming on it and singing songs. But a ukulele is not a violin, and I love my violin. So I started wondering how doable it would be to play guitar and ukulele chords on my violin. So I started figuring out how to play a bunch of chords on your violin. And because I couldn't find anything about this online, I decided to make sort of a poster with an overview of 9 chords I figured out. I have put a link to this poster in the description box below this video, so if you like, you can download and print that. First, I will tell you how I figured out how to play these chords on my violin, and then I will demonstrate all chords for you. In case you don't know, a chord is a combination of 3 notes. Sometimes 4, but usually 3. To make a chord, you play the first, the third and the 5th notes of a scale. So if you want to make a C chord, you take the first, third and 5th note of the C major scale. The first note is a C, the third note of that scale is an E, and the 5th one is a G. So when you combine the notes C, E and G, you got yourself a C chord. So, knowing that, if I want to play the chord of C on my violin now, I will have to look which strings need a finger on them to change the notes. Because we need to make a combination of the notes C, E and G. So, holding your violin like you would hold a guitar, the top string is now the G string. And because the G is in the chord of C, we don't have to do anything here. The second string is D, and the note of D is not in the C chord. So the most convenient option here is to put the first finger on the D string to make an E. So the D string has a first finger on it, and it makes it an E. The next string down is A. And the note of A is not in the C chord as well. Then we take our second finger and put that here to make it a C. And now we have a C. The last string is the E string, and the E string is already in the chord of C. So we don't have to do anything here. And that gives us a C chord. Okay, so the first chord you learned now is the C chord. And now I'm going to demonstrate you the other 8 chords as well. Here they go. The chord of G is made up of the notes G, B and D. We put a first finger on the A string to make a B, and a second finger on the E string to make a G. The chord of D is made up of the notes D, F sharp and A. We put the first finger on the G string to make it an A, and we have to squeeze the second finger on the place of the first finger on the E string to make it F sharp. This one is quite tricky. The chord of F is made up of the notes F, A and C. We put the first finger on the G string to make it A, and the second finger goes on both the D and A string. We don't play the E string for this one because it would mean that you somehow would have to make an F here as well. And I think that's just not doable, so you'd better leave out the E string for this one. The chord of A is made up of the notes A, C sharp and E. We put the first finger on the D string to make it E, and a high third finger on the G string to make a C sharp. The chord of A minor is made up of the notes A, C and E. Same as with the chord of A, we put our first finger on the D string to make an E, but the third finger on the G string is now a low third finger to make a C. The chord of E is made up of the notes E, G sharp and B. We put a low first finger on the G string to make a G sharp, and you put your second finger on both the D and A string to make an E and a B note. The E minor chord has a regular G instead of a G sharp, so you only have to make the E and B note with your second finger on both the D and A string. The last chord I'm showing you is the G7 chord, because it's a very commonly used chord and it's also quite easy to play. The G chord is made up of 4 notes: G, B, D and F. And to make this chord you only have to make the F with a low finger on the E string, and to make the B with your second finger on the A string. When it comes to strumming your violin, it's obviously not as easy as you would strum a ukulele or a guitar. And that's mainly because the fingerboard of a violin is not flat, but it's a bit rounded. The position of the strings in your violin is also a bit rounded, obviously. So when you are strumming, you should make a bit of a round movement. I also found out that strumming the E string sounds just a bit weird. It sounds different than the other strings, obviously because E strings are made out of steel and the other strings are not. So when I'm strumming the violin, the E string gives it that tinny sound. So I would focus on strumming the other 3 strings and just lightly touch the E string, otherwise you get this plingy sound. Just as you would when playing the ukulele or guitar, it's fun to use a strumming pattern. And in the beginning it's easiest to just use the soft part of your thumb and to just make down strums on every beat. Later on you can try and practice some typical ukulele strumming patterns like down, down, up, up, down, up. And when you are doing a strumming pattern, for a down strum you're using the back of your fingers, and for an up strum you're using the back of your thumb. Back of your fingers, back of your thumb. Down. You could also use a plectrum when strumming on your violin, but I found that guitar plectrums, which are usually made of plastic, sound way too harsh, so I tried doing that with a ukulele plectrum, which is made out of felt, and that gives a less harsh sound, but it still is quite powerful. Why not have a go with it? It's quite hard. If you're using a plectrum, it's actually easier to just go down instead of down and up, because it feels weird. So lastly, I'm going to play 2 songs on my violin lately. Ukulele. When you are first starting out learning to play chords, be it on your violin or on a ukulele or guitar, there are actually 4 chords that are very commonly used together. These chords are C, G, A minor and F. And the songs I'm going to play now only use those 4 chords. I have a dream, I hope will come true, that you're here with me and I'm here with you. I wish the earth, see the sky up above will send me someone to It's funny how a violin, when you strum it, sounds actually a bit like a ukulele. And yeah, I dress for the occasion. I got a bit of a Hawaiian feel because of this. But that's it actually. If this video makes you start strumming songs on your violin as well, don't forget to tag me on Instagram if you upload anything, so I get a notification and I can see it too. So thank you for watching this video and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!